the channel. My name is Gonzii, and today we are going to be reacting to a Danny Jones clip from his amazing podcast with Paul Rosolie. For those who don't know, Paul Rosolie is a man who spends majority of his time in the Amazon rainforest, studying, protecting, and having amazing adventures by the sound of it, man. And Danny Jones is one of the best podcasters out there. Go check out his channel. I'm going to leave the link in the description. He is phenomenal if you enjoy podcasts. He does a bit of everything, so go check him out. So yeah, today's clip is called The Deadliest Thing You'll Find in the Rainforest. So yeah, man, let's go and check this one out. Let's get it. Go.
What is the number one most terrifying thing you do not want to run into when you're down there?
The humans.
Stay hydrated.
There's tribes out there.
The humans.
And so to explain this, there's the on the internet, if you search, if we can pull it up, if you search like uncontacted tribes,
whoa, that's too loud, too loud.
There are tribes living out in the Amazon that have been there for centuries.
Okay, that's better.
And they are living like that because during the periods of extraction and during the conquistador era, they were the tribes that went back and said, we're not getting conquered. You see, I go to Peru, everybody speaks Spanish. It's because of the Spanish.
Right.
These are the tribes that backed up.
Isn't that crazy that they came down here and like that people in South America got Spanish from the Spaniards?
True, man.
Yeah. So see that big patch in the lower left-hand corner of South America right there? We're like in one of the main areas. Yeah, right above where the cursor just was. But we have uncontacted tribes in the region.
That's all you got? You can't pull up anything better than that? Come on, get us some photos.
There's one photo on Google where they're painted red and black. There we go. There we go. Right on the top line. Go to the top. Right there. Like say that one. These people are living out there, and what they're doing in that photo is they are trying to shoot the plane that's flying over them.
No fucking way.
And they don't speak a language that any of us speak. You see that? See the red one? You see that red one? Right by the hut. Yep.
Yes.
That one. They use medicinal compounds as insecticide, and a lot of times that dyes their skin. So you get purple ones, you get black ones, you get red ones.
That's his skin that's red?
Yeah, but I mean it's been dyed. It's been dyed. It's like so there's a purple plant down there. You can rub on your fingers. It's a leaf
on the skin to get the insects away. That's
the mosquitoes
just smart,
will stay away from you for a while. So these people are living with no clothing on.
Yep. In the middle of the rainforest, but do you know how many bugs that is?
And they've been doing this for a few thousand years, and they're still out there. Oh my god!
It's so wild.
The scariest thing that you could possibly run into in the Amazon is that.
Well, why would they be threatening to other humans?
Well, because the story, as I understand it, is like the last contact that a lot of these tribes had with the outside world was during the rubber boom. And the rubber boom was at the turn of the century, like early 1900s. So the Industrial Revolution, we needed gaskets and hoses and factory stuff. So all of a sudden, bike tires, car tires, we needed rubber for the first time in history. And the only place you could get rubber was the Amazon, because that's where the rubber trees grew. So we sent everybody to the Amazon.
I learned that in
rubber
school,
barons who went down and they just enslaved the local people.
And you cannot make
you're going to go out into the forest all day long
and report tried it, and it got leaf blade and all died.
Human holocausts on the planet because they went and just massacred the indigenous population.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they did, man.
Is that a rubber tree?
It's one of the biggest
that is a
and
rubber
least
tree.
talked about genocides
the bark.
ever.
It'll go into the fucking.
Wow.
That's literally where latex comes from. That's how we get it.
Did
so again, like thinking about like how does industry come back to nature? It's like we got rubber from there, the Amazon. And so during this horrendous period of oppression, some of the tribes were like, we are not going to be put in chains. We are not going to be set on fire. And they became hyper weaponized, super defensive, and they moved back as far as they could into the forest.
I don't blame them, man.
Uncontacted tribes.
I don't
now
blame
they speak
them
a language
one bit.
that we don't really speak. And my first experience with them was that I had heard that they would kill you. So one of the guys I work with, he was a logger, and in 2004 he was working as a mahogany logger, and he's coming down the river, and he sent his friend and his friend's wife ahead to go to the side, get some firewood, start making breakfast, because they had this huge barge of mahogany, so they're going very slowly down the river. And he sent them ahead to go make breakfast. And so this guy's name is Victor. And as Victor's coming down the river, he's just chilling. What he doesn't know is that this is what happened. They go ahead, they reach the beach, and they're like, all right, let's get some firewood. They go up onto the beach, and all of a sudden they hear the war cry from the uncontacted tribe. Arrows start falling, 6-foot-long arrows. What we think of as spears, they're shooting. This guy gets hit through the thigh and through the front of his leg. And so his leg is locked. He goes down. He tells his wife, he goes, just keep running. Run for it. She runs because they're coming. They're like running now. There's a bunch of red, purple, black, yellow people painted all different colors running out of the jungle screaming. She jumps into the water, swims for her life. The last thing she saw was them coming down on him and just cutting him to pieces. When my friend came around the bend,
no questions.
He said there was blood all over the beach. They had removed his
That's
testicles.
a rough way to go,
I think they took one of his arms. They'd opened
Rest
up
in
his
peace,
stomach because they wanted to know what he was eating. Because to them, we're foreign.
Right.
They're like, what are these people surviving on? They're so far. You know, they have these flying things and they come by in these loud boats and they don't understand. So they got the story when they kept going downriver and they found the woman and she was just holding onto a stick and she was weeping. And of course she was super messed up after what happened to her husband.
Can you imagine that?
But there was that massacre on the beach and that was just in 2004.
Hey,
This August, this brutal pictures were going around, you know, the WhatsApp news network in the region. Some loggers had gone to the wrong beach, man. And the tribes had showed up. And what the tribes do is, when they surround you and they don't want to speak in human terms, they start using animal calls. They start using monkey calls and bird calls to communicate with each other so that the people that they're tracking won't know. And so they get around these people and they start using that type of thing. And so these guys got scared and they started firing off their guns. Well, as soon as they fired off their guns, the tribe took that as aggression.
Yep.
And then somebody found them a few days later when the bodies were all bloated and disgusting and had been picked apart by vultures. But it was just like, you will be massacred. Absolutely massacred. And so the scariest thing I ever saw in the jungle was that.
But honestly, can you blame them? This is happening because of the rubber boom, right? When the Spaniards, when everybody went to the Amazon to get rubber, guess what? The indigenous people are the only people that know how to navigate a jungle. Right? So they massacred those people. They did horrible stuff. And so they backed all the way as far as they could into the jungle. And through the generations, they were like, hey, if you ever see those outsiders, kill them before they kill you, because they will not hesitate to torture you like they did to our families in the past. Like, can you blame them? It is what it is, man. It's a tough ethical debate.
And then, so they get around these people and they start using that type of thing. And so these guys got scared and they started firing off their guns. Well, as soon as they fired off their guns, the tribe took that as
a very more
aggression.
Nuanced conversation than just black and white do it.
And then somebody found them a few days later when the bodies were all bloated and disgusting and had been picked apart by vultures. But it was just like, you will be massacred. Absolutely massacred. And so the scariest thing I ever saw in the jungle was them.
Wow. So you actually had an encounter with them?
I had a horrible encounter with them.
Damn.
It was right around the time JJ had kept telling me that there were these places in the jungle that like no one goes, that you could keep going past a certain point and then like, you know, there'd be like rocks where the boats can't go. And then past that, well, what's past that? And he's like, well, it keeps going. It's like a stream, but it's shallow, but nobody goes there. And I was like, this is what I was born to do.
What the hell?
So there's a company based out of Colorado called Alpaca Pack Rafts, and they make these little rafts that roll down into like the size of a tent. So I got a pack raft, put my paddles on the outside of my bag, put like 10 days worth of like nuts and high calorie dry foods in my bag. I had a journal. I had like a little Canon power shot at the time. And I went up with poachers, because those are the only people that were going deep into the forest. And I get dropped on the side of a river. And I said, just so you guys, so what spot is this? And they were like, no tiene nombre. They're like, doesn't have a name.
Doesn't have a name. Damn.
And then I was like, all right, well, goodbye. And they were like, no, you want us to leave you here? And they were like, no, you're going to die. They're like, you're going to die. And I was like, you don't get it. I'm like an outdoors person. I got this. Just leave me here. This is what I want. And I really almost like into the wilded myself. But I kept walking past the point where boats could go on the river. So now I'm in literally past the edge of human presence on our planet. I'm in the wildest place on Earth, in the rainforest, where like the canopy meets over the river, and like the monkeys don't know what a human is. So the wildlife will like come down and look at you like it's the Galapagos. They're like, what's that? They've never seen a human before. And I'm just walking around, and I'm camping at night, and I'm journaling, and I'm having this amazing adventure. And then right around the 8-day mark, the river was getting pretty narrow, and I came to a bend in the river, and I see smoke coming up off the opposite side. And like, man, my heart just dropped. And I said, if I don't go see what this is, I'm never going to forgive myself. And so I went ahead just a little bit. And like, as soon as I rounded the bend, there was like 3 or 4 of them, and they had their arrows out already. And they were also sort of peeking around the bend to see, like, cause they knew that I was coming.
They sensed something was there.
They sensed something was there. And it was just, they had a little campfire going on the beach, and they had like a few of their little huts up. They make like these little palm shelters, but they were making dead eye contact with me.
Oh, they saw you.
Oh, they knew I was there. They had their arrows in their bows already, and they were like looking over like this. And I saw one say something to the other. I mean, it was a good football field away, but it was like, they were like, there it is. And for the first time in my life, I was potentially being hunted by other humans that didn't speak a language that I can speak. You can't even beg for mercy. Man. And so I just ran downriver.
Full speed?
Full speed. Jumped in the river, floated, but it wasn't deep enough. It wasn't deep enough for me to float down the river. So I got out, opened my pack raft. They have like an inflation bag. I like inflated this thing in 3 minutes, got in the pack raft, threw my backpack on my lap, and just started going. And I went for 3 days without stopping. And the reason I did that was because even when I stopped at night, I mean, I was literally kayaking past crocodiles in the river. I mean, there's fish jumping up out of the river into my boat. I was actually, some of the times I didn't even need to go fishing because there was fish. At night you scare the fish, they just jump into your boat. But there was one point where I set up my tent, and I was like, I have to get some sleep. It's been 48 hours with no sleep. I'm starving. I'm freaking out. And I like laid down, fell asleep. The first dream I had was that they were around me, and I heard all these animal noises. And then all of a sudden they started stabbing through the tent. And it was like, it was more traumatic to be asleep than it was to just keep running. And so it took me a week to get out.
A week to get out.
Like, seeing that and knowing the stories from some of the toughest guys that I know who've like lost loved ones. One of my rangers has been shot in the head. He was trying to give them bananas. He saw them somewhere, and he tried to push a canoe across the river. And as he's pushing this canoe, and he's like, here, have some bananas. And he's like trying to show like, I don't mean any harm. I'm okay. And they just went, whoop, fire an arrow at his head. And so he sees the arrow, 6-foot arrow coming at his head, and he moves to the side, and it scraped him from his temple all the way to the back of his head. It opened him to the skull. Oh my God. And he's okay. I mean, he's a hard ass, man. He works for me now. He's Ignacio. And, but like he's also very scared of them. So it's like, and you can't reason with them. You can't be like, guys, it's okay. It's okay. No, they don't speak our language. And they believe that we are like literally demons that are trying to kill them.
Yeah, they believe that it must be passed down because of the Spaniards that came down. It must be just a tale that they pass down, and they teach their young. And
they teach their young that the outside world is going to kill you. So kill them first if you want to survive.
Bro, that is wild. That's terrifying. But yeah, man, you cannot blame them. Like, they were tortured, they were massacred because of rubber, bro. We need to just leave them the hell alone. Leave them alone, man. They don't want contact with anyone. Just let them be, let them live their lives. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, man. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please let me know that I'll bring much more clips from Danny Jones' podcast. He is phenomenal what he does. Paul Rosolie, one of the most interesting people that you can follow on social media, man. The guy is incredible. He spends the majority of his life in the Amazon. Like, come on, dude's phenomenal. Before you go, don't forget how we end videos on the channel though. Come on, man, keep God first as always. Drink water, go tell somebody who loves them, man. If you're here, you know what to do, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. My name is Gonzii, and see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.